Is ARK dying? Is Palworld the killer of ARK? Can Wildcard do anything to save it? Let's talk about that. Firstly, let's discuss what Palworld actually is. Palworld is a new open world survival game where you collect these creatures called pals, which is in a very similar manner to Pokemon. However, it takes aspects from survival games like ARK and mashes them all together very, very effectively. It's absolutely blown up the past week, and it's really popular, with a peak concurrent player count of over 2 million, which has overtaken CSGO with a peak of 1.8 million compared to Palworld's now current peak of 2 million. And within 6 days, it sold 8 million copies. And that roughly equates to $216 million, give or take a couple million, which is crazy to think about, especially since this is an indie company. Now that you know a bit more about Palworld, let's talk about why it is so popular at the moment. Firstly, there is the price for the game, which is better than the majority of new games at the moment, and that is $27, which is incredibly cheap for a brand new game with such effort put into it. Secondly, for the price, you get so much. You get really beautiful graphics, you get a really good early access release for what it is, despite there being quite a few bugs. You also get the aspect of it being quite reminiscent of Pokemon, which I suppose is an aspect people really like. And then it's also the aspect of that people are arguing that this is a better game than Pokemon has had for years, which I am kind of prone to agree to. A lot of the newer Pokemon games have become copy and paste, and it is a very common criticism, and this game has allowed people to open their eyes about that. As previously mentioned, this has all been done by an indie company, which is incredibly impressive. And then also, it's very optimized for it being early access and an indie game too. It's definitely more optimized than ARK Survival Ascended. Now you may be wondering, why do I call Palworld a potential ARK killer? Well, the reason why is because since Palworld's launch, the ARK player base has had a very, very swift decline from the around 20 to 25k players that had daily to a minimum of 9k per day. And that is very worrying. Bear in mind, this is also a new game that only came out in October. And as seen in this chart here, it's very much struggling to even achieve 20k players per day, which is a bad sign for Wildcard. And it means they definitely have some competition with the 2 million people that are logging on a day to play Palworld. So why might ARK be dying? Let's go into it now. Firstly, the announcement of the DLCs being delayed, and I say this because it's quite a huge delay. In December, Wildcard announced that they were delaying Scorched Earth from December to March, which is a 4-month delay, and that is not even the end of it. They announced that they were delaying Genesis 2 from 2024 to very late 2025, which is when ARK 2 is meant to be supposedly coming out. This has definitely pushed a lot of players away. I know it's pushed me away from ARK, which is why I don't really create ARK content regularly, and I understand that a lot of the community have found ARK becoming very stale because we only have one map. And it's gotten to the point where ARK Survival Evolved has a consistently higher player base than ARK Survival Ascended. And that is most likely due to the pre-existing mods that are already on ARK Survival Evolved, as well as the fact that there are already all the maps on there that people don't need to wait for. Alongside this, the pay-to-win DLC that's coming out, the Frontier Pack for Scorched Earth, which allows you to tame a creature called the Oasisaurus, which is effectively a giant flying platform that you can house a lot on, quite a lot. It's like an upgraded Quetzal. We don't know how powerful it's going to be, but it already looks incredibly powerful. Bear in mind the fact that it can fly this giant platform anywhere. And you have to pay for the Frontier Pack, which is going to cost some money, and you won't be able to tame it otherwise, which is definitely very much pay to win and going to be problematic on PvP. Alongside that, we've had very minimal communication with Wildcard over the past couple months. It's really not enough to keep the player base going. Alongside that, the optimization and performance is fucking terrible, to be completely honest. I cannot consistently get over 70 FPS when streaming it on high settings with the best gaming CPU on the market alongside a very competent GPU. And whilst I do understand it's early access, so is Palworld, yet that runs really well even on low-end PCs. Alongside that, there is no official transfers for PvP yet, and they got delayed too, which is kind of annoying. Even more of a problem for ARK is the fact that Palworld now exists. It takes the fondness that people have for a monster capturing game, an open world survival game where you tame creatures as well. It takes aspects from Pokemon and from ARK, and then it just combines them into one. And that effectively has blown up ARK's spot, which is why Palworld has so many players. It's crazy, and Wildcard don't seem to be doing anything about it. It's the fact that they're not outputting enough content is the issue. The game is becoming very stale. I haven't played it personally in like 3 weeks. I don't enjoy it at the moment, and I want more to come out for it, and I want it to be more optimized. And I personally believe that is why Palworld is so popular, because it does what ARK does better. But the final question, can Wildcard do anything about it? They can, but the real question is, will they? Because I don't know what Wildcard are going to do. As a player base, the ARK community has been let down very constantly, and it is a complete shame that we just get delay after delay. I understand Snail Games applies a lot of pressure on them for these ambitious deadlines that they don't end up meeting. However, the player base just want new content, and they want realistic release dates that won't get delayed. But yeah, Palworld has a lot of potential to completely dominate the open world survival game industry, especially with Wildcard slacking as they have. That's about it for this video. If you enjoyed this, maybe consider liking and subscribing. I'm going to be creating some Palworld content for this channel if that's a game you're interested in. But yeah, thank you for watching. See ya.